Hello, Mary C. Williams friends. This is Miss Britt. This is your lesson for day 26, May 14th. We are starting something new. We are starting adding and subtracting parts of a whole. So it's adding and subtracting fractions, which I know that you feel like you've been adding fractions since we've been decomposing fractions into smaller parts. So technically you have been adding fractions, but today we're going to start adding and subtracting fractions. So I'm going to go over this top part because this section uses area models. I'll show you in a moment the area models, but this section uses area models, and I want to make sure that you understand what it looks like to add and subtract using area models. Justin has 3/8 pounds of cheddar cheese and 2/8 pounds of brick cheese. How much cheese does he have in all? Step 1, use fraction strips to model the problem. Use 3 1/8 strips to represent 3/8. Okay, there are 3/8, and then has 2/8 of brick cheese. So join 2 more 1/8 strips to represent the amount of brick cheese. So this would be his cheddar cheese. This would be his brick cheese. This is what he has. Now, because we are not comparing these two amounts, we're not comparing 1, 2, 3/8 to 2/8. What we're doing is we want to find out how much cheese he has in all. So we are going to be combining those amounts. So your area model would start to look like this instead of like this, which would be a comparing area model. So I'm taking my 3/8 of cheddar cheese, I'm adding it to my 2/8 of brick cheese to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 eighths. Now I want you to pay very close attention to what happened here. We took, let me pull that down. This is our cheddar, and this is our brick. We only add numerators. Please say that again out loud. We only add numerators. The denominators just stay the same. In order to add fractions, the denominators have to be the same. So I cannot add these two fractions unless my denominators are the same. Since they are the same, all I have to do is bring that denominator over here. So as long as my denominator is the same, I can add. So when my denominators are the same and I add, all I do is move the denominator over. Do not try to add denominators. That is not what we do. We only add numerators, okay? All right, so the rest of this says, use the model to write an equation. This is our model. We started with 3/8 of cheddar and 2/8 of brick. In order to make an equation, we would have to say 3/8 plus 2/8, and that's what our equation would look like. Now, let's look at it another way. Let's look at it like this. Suppose Justin eats 1/8 pound of cheese. How much cheese is left? So we started out with 3/8 of cheddar and 2/8 of brick, which gave us a grand total of 5/8. So we have 5/8. Now let's say that, Justin got hungry. So what happens when you get hungry? Do you get more of something, or does something go away? Do you have to consume it and it goes away, or do you eat it and it's still miraculously there? Perfect. It's going to go away. So because he ate 1/8, goes away. So then we will remove one strip to show the amount that was eaten. Now count the number of 1/8 strips left. There are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 1/8 strips. So that means we have 4/8 left. To write an equation for this, so here was our model. To write an equation to show what happened, we would have to start out with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8. We started out with 5/8. Justin's gonna eat one of those 8s. So it goes away. And when it goes away, we have to subtract it from our original total. So 5/8 minus 1/8 equals 1, 2, 3, 4/8, which is what we have left over. Now again, you cannot subtract fractions unless they have the same, yes, denominator. So you cannot subtract unless they have the same denominator also. And what happens? What happens? Does this become a 0? No. You just keep the same denominator. The only thing you subtract are the numerators. So just like we only add numerators, we only subtract numerators also. So we only add them, we only subtract them. So when you are adding and subtracting fractions, you make sure the denominators are the same, and then you only worry about changing the numerator. You add the numerators or you subtract the numerators. All right, my friends, let's look at these two examples today. So I am going to go over problem number 1 and problem number 2. And then your job is going to be to do problem number 3 and problem number 4 on page 109. You have to show us the equation. That's what it's asking you for. Use the model to write an equation. All right, so let's see what's happening here. Now, this one is just showing you what one whole looks like. So you're not really worried about that. It's just showing you what it looks like, what this piece right here, what this piece looks like compared to the whole. So what is that? Perfect. It is 1/5. 1/5, bring down your sign, plus 1, 2, 3/5 equals 1, 2, 3, 4/5. That is your job. All you're doing is looking at each part, and then in this case, we're putting the parts together to get what it equals. So 1/5 plus 3/5 equals 4/5. Now pay attention, because my denominators were the same and my denominator stayed the same. The denominator does not change. All right, now let's look at this one. This symbol right here means you are subtracting, or you are taking away. That's what it really looks like. It looks like you're taking something away. So we started out with 1/3 and 2/3. You can see what that is under there. So we started with 2/3. We took away or subtracted one of those thirds. And what are we left with? We started with 2/3. We took away 1/3. What are we left with? Perfect, 1/3. So in this case, this is a subtraction equation. 2/3 minus 1/3 equals 1/3. And like every other time, your denominators have to be the same in the beginning to add or subtract, and then your denominator stays the same. You only add the numerators, or you only subtract the numerators. All right, my friends, your job is to complete problem number 3 and problem number 4 on page 109. Please send us your responses. You do not have to draw the models, but it wouldn't hurt. So thanks so much, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.